We all love the idea of thinking differently. We celebrate the rebels, the innovators, the visionaries. But that's usually in hindsight, long after their ideas have been proven right. In the moment, in our day-to-day lives, thinking differently is rarely welcomed. Why? Because every new idea, no matter how small, quietly threatens what people are comfortable believing. And comfort is something most people will protect at all costs, often without even realizing it. This isn't just about having a unique opinion at a dinner party. It's much deeper than that. To think differently is to fundamentally question the assumptions that hold our world together. It's about challenging the ingrained patterns of behavior and belief that everyone else takes for granted. It's the ability to see a dozen alternatives where others see only one unchangeable certainty. This doesn't make you popular. It makes you disruptive. And I don't mean disruptive in an aggressive or confrontational way. You don't have to shout to be disruptive. Your very presence, your quiet questioning, is enough. It exposes the fragility of long-held beliefs. It's as a gentle but persistent reminder to others that the ground beneath their feet isn't as solid as they assumed. It forces a reevaluation they weren't prepared to make, and that discomfort is often projected back onto you. You become the problem, not the idea. And this brings us to the social cost, which is often subtle and insidious. People rarely reject a new idea by saying, "I reject your idea." That would require them to engage with it logically. Instead, they dismiss it, and you, through quieter, more socially acceptable means. They might respond with silence, letting your thought hang in the air until it disappears. They might turn it into a joke, trivializing its importance. Or they might resort to labels. Suddenly, you're too intense, too serious, or overthinking things. They say you, remaking it complicated when you just trying to explore the nuance they rather ignore. You're not being aggressive. You're just being thorough. You're not being negative. You're just being realistic. Over time, this social friction adds up. Thinking differently becomes expensive. You might notice you're included in fewer conversations. People stop asking for your opinion, not because they think you're wrong, but because they know your answer won't be simple. They consult you less. You feel understood less. It's a slow, creeping isolation. It's not a punishment for being wrong. It's a tax on being inconvenient. You force people to think, and for many, that's an unwelcome effort. It's easier to stick with the familiar, and it's easier to exclude the person who keeps pointing out that the familiar might not be the best or the only way. But the real, heaviest price isn't paid in social circles. It's not external. The most profound cost is internal. It's the conflict that starts to rage inside your own mind. You find yourself in a constant state of calculation. Do I speak up now, or do I just let it go? Do I share what I'm really thinking, or do I offer a simplified, more palatable version? Should I be honest, or should I just keep the peace? Every conversation becomes a negotiation between your integrity and your desire to belong. This is the choice that thinkers face every single day. Stay true to your own mind or adapt to fit in. And it is utterly exhausting. Many people, even the most brilliant and original thinkers, eventually learn to censor themselves. It's not necessarily out of fear of being fired or ostracized. It's often born from simple, profound fatigue. The sheer effort of constantly translating your complex, nuanced thoughts into a language that others can or are willing to understand is draining. Explaining why you see the world the way you do, defending your perspective against dismissal, and navigating the subtle social penalties takes a toll. At some point, silence starts to feel like a relief. Self-censorship becomes a form of self-preservation, a way to conserve your energy for battles that feel more winnable. And this is why conformity can feel so incredibly safe, so alluring. It offers an escape from that exhaustion. You just agree. You nod along. You stop asking the difficult questions. You stop pushing back. You blend in. And in many ways, life does get easier. You stop having to explain yourself. You stop being the one who stands out. The social friction disappears. But while you're enjoying that relief, something else is happening quietly in the background. Your thoughts start to become smaller. Your curiosity, the very engine of your different way of thinking, begins to dull. That sharp, inquisitive inner voice that pushed you to see more, to demand more, grows weaker. The world feels easier to navigate, but it also feels less alive, less vibrant. Because what you've suppressed isn't just a quirky opinion here or there. It's not just difference for the sake of it. What you've given up is depth. You've traded the richness and complexity of your own mind for the comfort of not making waves. The safety of conformity is real, but it comes at the price of your own intellectual and spiritual vitality. You gain social ease, but you lose a piece of yourself in the transaction. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about your own life. This isn't just an abstract theory. If you've ever held back a genuinely good idea in a meeting because you knew it would be unwelcome, you know this cost. If you've ever found yourself softening your thoughts, watering down your convictions just to avoid a tense conversation with family or friends, you know this cost. If you've ever chosen to stay silent, to just nod and smile, because you didn't have the energy to be seen as difficult one more time, then you have already paid this price. The myth is that thinking differently is dangerous. It's not. But it is incredibly demanding. It asks for a special kind of courage to stand by your convictions, even when there is no applause, no recognition, and no immediate reward. It's the quiet, thankless courage of being true to your own mind. So, where does that leave us? The price of thinking differently is rarely a single dramatic event. It's not a grand confrontation. It's a debt paid slowly, in small installments. It's paid in moments of quiet isolation, when you feel like the only one in the room who sees things a certain way. It's paid through misunderstood intentions, when your desire for clarity is mistaken for a desire for conflict. And it's paid through the 1,000 tiny acts of self-restraint when you choose to hold your tongue. But as we consider this cost, perhaps there's a deeper question we should be asking ourselves. Is the cost of conformity really any cheaper? Or does it simply charge you in a different currency, one that you only notice much, much later when you look in the mirror and struggle to recognize the person staring back? Thanks for watching.